The Wrestling Inc. Documenting Chyna series includes profanity. It also contains discussions about the sensitive subjects including drug use, sexual assault, and suicide. If you or anyone in the room are easily affected by those subjects, we ask you to please turn off the program at this time. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily's Documenting Chyna series. My name is Nick Hausman. I'm the managing editor of Wrestling Inc. And today we are going to finish up my conversation with Chyna's former manager, Anthony Anzaldo. In today's episode, you're going to hear Anthony continue to talk about the day he found Chyna dead at her apartment and the subsequent aftermath of that finding.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
I'm going to put my ears back in. I had to go in, and that was the dogs and my mom and your dogs. You just can't. I'm telling you, it's just freaking craziness.
Don't worry about it.
All right, let me see. I don't have a lot of time. Ears. So the ears will go, and I probably will have to move the speaker, but that's okay. So let's see here. So I was just saying that, okay, I walk in to the apartment, and I can smell something funky, okay? But again, I'm trying to give you a visual of what the apartment looks like. If you continue to walk straight, you'll walk into the living room and the view of the ocean. Walk straight and then take a left, and you are right away, you're in the bathroom. Walk straight and a little further, and to your left is the kitchen. And then if you walk straight, it's the living room and the view. But if you want to go to her bedroom, you got to take a U-ey right as you walk in, and there's this little hallway, and straight ahead is her bedroom. So it's a one-bedroom apartment, okay? So I take the U-ey, and we walk towards the bedroom, and I see her laying in bed. Now, here's the view. Her arm is over her. She's laying on her side, and her arm is over her head. It would be her left arm. And so I could see the top of her head and the top of her hair and her arm kind of hanging over. I can see her body under the covers, and then there's a pillow that's obstructing her face. You cannot see her face. Okay, you with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
So as I start walking towards, I'm like, oh my God, Chyna, sweetie, Chyna, and I walk over and I start kind of pushing on her foot. Now, I haven't seen her face yet because I don't want to see her face. I don't want to be there. Chyna, and then I walk around the bed, and you can see me looking down on her, and I say, oh my God, she's dead. And I turn around, start walking towards Pete, and we got to call 911. And the footage ends. Now, you don't see her face because there's a pillow obstructing it. Meaning, when I looked down upon her, about, I don't know, a foot or 18 inches away from her face was the pillow. It wasn't like up against her face. It was just obstructing the view of her face if you were looking in the direction that we were looking at when we walked into the room. Does that make sense?
Sure. Sure.
Because I'm trying to get you to get a visual of it.
Yeah.
So now she's dead. I have found her dead. Okay. The first thing I do is I look around and just take a look. There's 2 bottles of pills on her end table. No alcohol bottles. No, nothing of that. No pills strewed all over the place. That was reported. 2 bottles, both with their caps on them. One is her Xanax or her daytime high anxiety medication, and the other is her Ambien. And that's what it was. Okay? So, as we are walking out, the police are walking in because she had called for the wellness check. And I said, hey, guys, I just walked in. I think she's dead. They walk in. They're in there for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, come back out. I said, what's the verdict? They go, she's gone. And I just broke down. I just lost it. By this time, Nancy and her husband, who are the manager of the building, are also standing there. And they're giving me the evil eye. They're pissed. They're fucking pissed. How dare you put someone like this in our place or something? They were not happy. And I really resented them for that. They weren't comforting. They were adding to it. So I lose it. I literally fell to the ground. I couldn't fucking believe it. And I, of course, felt like I could have, how many times could I have saved her that week? If I just would have just said, this is what you asked for, man. You asked, are you willing to? So you were willing to do it, but you weren't willing to do it because you knew how deep it could get. You knew if you're bringing her back into your life, where this could go. And it went there. And where were you? And I gotta live with that. But I don't feel guilty. That I don't do. I don't feel guilty. But that's the reality of what was going on those 3 weeks. So, she's dead. A detective comes up to me and goes, man, we got to talk, dude. I got to know. You understand we got to talk. Well, of course. They took my buddy Pete downstairs because they're going to start talking to him because maybe we killed her. She's dead, right? We found her. Well, right off the bat, you got to talk to those people. I wouldn't say we were suspects because there's no sign that there was any foul play, but they got to go through the whole fucking rigmarole. More so than had somebody else had they done a wellness check and just found her. But because we found her, that adds a whole new dynamic to the case. So for 3 hours, they questioned both of us. And. Now, there was a situation where I got upset. And maybe that's what Jan is talking about. And I'm going to tell you what that situation was. The detective and I told him, I said, do you know who that is? And he said, no. I said, that is, she's a celebrity. And when the word gets out that she's gone, it's going to be worldwide news. Big time. I need you to keep this under your hat right now. Please just don't tell anybody that it's Chyna. And the other guy goes, I knew it was Chyna. I go, we can't, just until we make an announcement. I swear to God, 2 minutes later, the next door neighbor gets off the elevator. And their doors were literally right next to each other. And he's like, hey, what's going on? And the detective says, we found your neighbor dead. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? This. That guy called TMZ. So they got it took them a while, but when they wrapped her up and put her on the gurney and took her out in a car, TMZ was there to get that footage. Fortunately, it was after I was able to make the announcement. Okay. So oh my God, I can't fucking win. So anyway, so I gave him shit. And the one guy said, hey man, you better be careful. You got a warrant out for your arrest. I'll take you in right now. I said, a warrant for my arrest? For what? What have I done? I thought he was lying to me. So I didn't take very kindly to that either. But there was. And I'll get to that if you want to hear that. That's a really crazy, quick story.
Sure.
So so anyway, they finally let us go. And we come home. And I tried to call her mom. And I couldn't get her. I tried to call her sister. No luck. Tried to call her brother. No luck. She had a half brother in Miami. And when we went to Florida, she didn't want to see him and he didn't want to see her. But I had his number. So I called him and he answered. And I said, hey man, I'm the guy that talked to you before. Remember, we were going to come down and try to see you. I go, well, I have some really, really, really bad news. I found Chyna dead a couple of hours ago. He goes, you fucking liar. Don't be fucking with me. I go, no, I'm not lying with you. I'm not lying. I need you to try to get to the family because I can't get to them. And and we're going to make an announcement like now. And he says, okay, I'll do my best. And I go, I'm really sorry, man. He goes, this better not be phony. I said, dude, I have 5 children. On their lives, she's dead. He said, okay. My next call, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why? Because Steve and I had been talking the last several weeks before all this craziness went on about him, now that Piper's dead, about him being the guy to get Triple H on the phone during the podcast and because Stone Cold Steve Austin is a proponent of Chyna being in the Hall of Fame. He's like, this Hall of Fame ain't even a Hall of Fame if Chyna's not in it. It's so ridiculous. I mean, there shouldn't be one woman in there if it's not Chyna. I mean, it's like, so he was all, now I have footage of me and Steve having many conversations about Chyna, and I'm recording it. I have the same conversation right after that with Jan about why Chyna really left when she was 15 and what was really going on in her life, and how sorry Jan was that Jan did not take her kid's side while she knew her husband, who was their stepfather at this time, was physically and sexually abusing her children. But I have footage of her telling me this. So she can lie about it. She could say that Chyna did this or Chyna did that, or maybe she was lying to me. I don't know. And I'm not looking to I'll show you. I don't need to do any of it. They're the ones doing that shit. I'm just living my life, man, trying to get through this. Okay? Fuck all y'all. I'm the only one that has the story. I'm the only one that knows the real truth. I'm the only one, because they're just a bunch of wannabe, star-fucking, hanger-oners that can't even fucking do what they do. Couldn't even come. I created all the content. That was my job as the executive producer. 3 EPs, Chyna, Eric, and Anthony, not Rob. Rob was like an associate producer, and he was going to get that from Eric, and Eric was going to give him like 10 points on the back end. And they never had footage, so him and Eric had an outing. That's why Rob posted and sent out a press release to the fucking wrestling world that the director is now in jail and blah. That's how fucking evil that fucking asshole is. So wait till the press release goes out, and you're going to get one, and I would do anything for you to publish it, that Jan's right-hand boy is a pedophile.
Once again, we would like to remind everyone that we have been presented with no evidence as of yet that there is any truth to the allegation that Rob Patillo is a pedophile, and we have spoken to Rob, who has definitively denied these allegations.
Who's been caught on the internet, has been arrested. It's public knowledge. He's a sex predator, cannot leave the state of Massachusetts, even though he did to go to the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to put that press release out when that time comes, so that the world knows that and I told Jan in text, because she's always hitting me up going, hey, what are you doing, asshole? I mean, I go, your guy's and I sent her the picture of his face, the mug shot. I said, it's all you gotta do is look it up. The number that they gave him, all that shit. He child pornography. He got busted. And he fucking slept in my house with my 18-year-old daughter down the hall for 3 months. Makes me sick to my fucking... It doesn't surprise me, by the way. Does not surprise me. That guy is the biggest fucking loser that's ever lived. And you know something? And I'm going to say this now, and I'll get back to my story. And here's how I'm able to deal with all of it. I'm a 58-year-old man. My life has been amazing. The shit that I've been able to do, the work, the people I've worked for, the record companies, talent, the movies, the TV. I've toured the world. I've been to every country you can fucking imagine. I have made love to some of the most beautiful women on the planet. I got 100 fucking girlfriends. Okay? My kids are all grown. They're all happy. They're all successful. I have a great relationship with them. They have a great relationship with others. I have a brand new grandson who's amazing. I have dual residency on the beach in Los Angeles and in the hometown that I grew up in an amazing house that I'm helping to take care of my mom in, with all my old friends and all these restaurants. I'm building houses. I took over 2 of my dad's businesses in Nebraska. Dude, my life is unbelievable. How amazing it is. I answer to no one. I don't have somebody I got to check in with. My kids are all grown. I have the most amazing, beautiful dog. Okay? They'll never have my life. I got one who's a pedophile who lives in a basement, who's not going to live very much longer because he's got all these diseases, kidney disease, all this other kind of shit. I can only imagine what goes on in his head all day long. He's not well. Eric's a junkie. Eric's going to be in and out of jail the rest of his life. He'll probably end up killing himself. And then Jan is the most miserable human on the face of the earth. The most unhappy, unhealthy. They can have their life. Guess what? You guys can have your we're going to fuck with Anthony shit. Because you can't. Because you'll never be me. You'll never have what I have. Never. And I've created that life for myself. I'm very proud of it. I'm very happy. Also, I understand what it takes to be happy. And I'm a kind, giving person. What goes out comes back to you that way. I understand that you live your life inside out, not outside in. What you say and do, come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I won't even read this. You know, I won't. People will tell me about it. I might have my son read it and tell me what he thinks, but I won't read it because it's too hard, man. So you're going to say what you're going to say. You're going to take shit out of context, keep it in context. You're going to tell the whole story. You're not going to tell any of the story. I don't know what you're going to do. And guess what? It doesn't matter to me. I would love for you to do it the way I would love it to be done, which is tell the entire story. That would be great. So that would be great. But you know what? Do whatever you do, because I accepted doing it. I chose to do it. And you know what comes with that choice? Whatever happens, happens. Look in the mirror, dude. You're not going to hear from me going, dude, I didn't say that. Wait a minute, you misunderstood that. What the fuck, dude? You will not hear from me. You know why? Because I chose to do it. And once I did it, that's it. I don't have any control. And if something fucks up, it's on me, not you. The shit that's what's going on with Rob and Eric and Jan, that's on me. You know why? Because I accepted them into my life. So it's my problem. Not fuck them, fuck me. And I have to deal with that. That's how I live my life. They can have their life. I'll keep my life. I'll be happy. They'll be miserable. And I'm good. And that's how I win. No matter what happens with these movies, 3 of them, there's going to be 3 of them. That's the deal. So, let me get back to the story. You still got time?
Yeah, I got some time. I have a couple. And whenever you're done, I have a couple questions as well. But I'm going to let you finish out your story here too.
Okay, I want you to go ahead and write down all your questions. And then you got me for 100 questions if you need them.
I don't have 100.
1,000 questions if you need them. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, go ahead. So, let me get back to where I was, and that was I find her dead, and I call Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's my second call because he was helping me get this podcast thing going, try to get Hunter and Chyna together. And Steve is a huge proponent of getting Chyna in the Hall of Fame and asking Hunter, why isn't she in the Hall of Fame, dude? I mean, that's ridiculous. Why isn't she in the Hall of Fame? And he's answered that on his podcast many times. And he was a Chyna fan. So there's that, right? So I call him. I found Chyna dead. Oh, no, dude. Now, I didn't shoot that. I should have. But I didn't. I didn't shoot me calling people, telling it. The third person I called was a really close friend of ours. We had just gone to her 50th birthday party. We had a great time at the Lucky Strike in Los Angeles. And I think that was in like March or February. And we had a great night that night, man. And her and Chyna had rekindled a really close friendship there. And So I'm going to take a drive. So I call Stone Cold Steve Austin because, again, we were working together on trying to get her and Hunter in the same room or on a podcast or whatever. So all she wanted to do was apologize. That's it. I'm sorry for what I did. And be specific about what it was that you did. I went online, shot a video, told the world that I want to kill you while I was inebriated. That is wrong. I am so sorry for that. I am so sorry for anything I've said about you and Stephanie and about your family, behind your back and in front of people and on film. I am so sorry. I have problems. I was hurt. I'm sorry. Now, I'm doing this for me. Because she began to understand, that's her talking. She began to understand that when you forgive someone, it's not and I told you this before, it's not telling them that what they did was okay. It's telling them that you're now able to process it and get over it. Whether they're sorry or not, it's irrelevant, Chyna. That's what I was teaching her. That's how she got over being screwed by the WWE. Because she blamed that situation on why she wanted to kill herself. So there's no more blame with them. We're going to be good with them. Whether they're good with you or not, you're going to be good with them. You know why? Because it's healthy for you. Can you hear me okay? I parked.
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. So it's for your benefit that you forgive them, Chyna. So that the angst is gone. Whether they accept you back into their life or their family or whether they hire you or put you in the Hall of Fame is not why we're doing this. As a matter of fact, we're going to tell them, you don't care about any of that. And you know what's interesting? When we were on that very trip in Charlotte for fun, Chyna wrote out her Hall of Fame acceptance speech. And we just had it was funny. And some of it was serious and some of it was for fun. And she would talk about how she would thank Vince and thank whatever, but then say something really nasty about him. But it was all in the same tongue in cheek. And then at the very end, she was going to say, so thank you for this honor, but I don't think I'm going to accept it. And then drop the mic and walk off and not take the ring. That was her plan if she ever got in. Now, I don't think that would happen. I'm sure it wouldn't have been that way. I'm sure she wanted very much to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sure it was killing her that she wasn't in the Hall of Fame. And I'm sure that if she got in, she would have accepted it and she would have been awesome. And I know the two people that she would have had, the three people that she would have asked to speak on her behalf. And that's Shawn Michaels, who got her in. That's Bret Hart, who she loved more than any person on the planet. And she would have asked The Undertaker. But that would have been her third choice, and she'd had to think about that. Those two people she wanted to have and speak on her behalf. And I hope when the day comes that happens, that they will accept that request and have those people do it. Because when they put her in, as far as D-Generation X in, which was such a fucking cop-out, that doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything to her. Doesn't mean anything to her fans. Doesn't mean anything. That is such a fucking cop-out. She's not in the Hall of Fame. And then Rob went with Jan, and he was texting me the entire time. I'll bet you wish you were here, loser. By the way, I've never done nothing for this guy. Nothing. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem, dude? By the way, you think I give two shits about being in the Hall of Fame ceremony? Do you know what my life has been? I wouldn't be there anyway. I could give two shits. And, Triple H mentioned Kathy, Chyna's sister, when he mentioned Chyna in the acceptance speech and never mentioned Jan was there. And that pissed off Jan. Ask her about it. Pissed her off so bad. I loved it. You guys, and how was it? Was it worth it all, everybody? So you went to your ceremony. How you feel like a big person now? Oh, it's a big deal. You went to your daughters and Rob to the Hall of Fame ceremony, and didn't even know her, didn't even talk to her. You're the last person she would want fucking there. But whatever, it's fine. Who cares? But anyway, so we wrote this acceptance speech, but it ended with her not accepting it and dropping the mic. Fuck you guys. Well, we weren't going to do that, but that was something that we had done. She had done, and I have it. I have that piece of paper. In case anybody ever wants to question me, and I won't show it to anybody unless somebody wants to really question me. The paperwork that I have on Chyna giving me her rights to her likeness in perpetuity, I will have to show here shortly because I got to stop some shit. Not stop it, but I just got to make sure that footage that isn't allowed for other people to use is not usable. That's all. That's all I'm asking. I hope people make 100 movies about her life. Are you kidding me? I support all of it. Just don't use my shit. They all want me in it. No, I'm not going to be in it. That's why they think that they could. This movie that Eric had these people make, it's going to be on Vice.
Real quickly about Anthony's claims here about Dark Side of the Ring. We reached out to Dark Side of the Ring and received the following comment from Evan Husney. He said, "There are no plans for an episode about Chyna for the upcoming season of Dark Side of the Ring. At the start of pre-production earlier this year, we became aware of multiple projects that were currently in production about Chyna, and thus we ultimately decided against pursuing this as a future subject."
Vice? Really? 6 years of our life and we're going to put it on Vice? You know how many times those people have called me begging me to do something with this footage? I'm like, no chance, man. We're going Netflix. We're going to put it out ourselves. This is could win an Academy Award. This is bigger, so much bigger than any other wrestling, at least HBO, bigger than any other. This is not a movie, a wrestling movie. It's not even about Chyna. It's about a woman who happens to be Chyna. And oh my God, what a life. And then this year and all the footage we have. I went and picked her up from jail one night. I told you about that. She was laying out in front of her apartment, passed out, and the cops came and the ambulance came. And they said, "You want to go to the hospital or the police station?" She said, "Send me to jail," because she didn't want to pay the hospital bill.
Right. I remember that.
Okay. All right. I told you that.
Yeah.
So I went to get her the next day, and I shot all that stuff. That stuff is all really, 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 really good shit. Okay. And it's not all of her being a fucking train wreck. It's about her being amazing and all kinds of things. It's a mix of all kinds of shit. I don't want to show that footage of those last days of her life. But you have to if you're going to tell the story. And if you're going to get true empathy. It's not, let me show you what a fuck-up she was. Let me show you how easy it is to become that. I'm trying to help you people understand who Chyna really was and why she was this way. Not just a fucking movie about her being a train wreck. You know, I loved her, man. I can't shake her. I'm not kidding. So, anyway. So I talked to Steve Austin. I talked to her brother-in-law. I talked to her friend, and then I put out the statement. Chyna's dead. And I wrote it, and we posted it, and that was the beginning. Okay? Now she's gone. Jan calls me. And we have our first conversation, of which I have on tape. I shot our conversation, the first conversation Jan and I had after Chyna died, the next day. So I found her on Wednesday. She died on Sunday. This is now Thursday, the 21st, and I'm talking to her mother. And she says, "I am beside myself. I'm devastated." Hold on one second. "I'm beside myself. I'm devastated. I don't know what to do. I really don't have any money. I can't come out there and deal with this. Would you be my guardian angel? Would you be the angel from God? Can I give you power of attorney, and will you just handle everything?" I said, "I got you. Absolutely. I will handle everything." So for the next 2 weeks, I did the coroner. I did the medical examiner. I did the police. I had her cremated, which is what I know she wanted. And in that cremation, I asked Jan, do you want some of her ashes? And she says, I want some of her, just a little bit of her ashes. I said, okay. So I commissioned 50% of her ashes are going into, because you have to get a permit to do all this stuff. 50% of her ashes are going into the Pacific Ocean. We're going to take a yacht 3 miles out, because we always talked about, you know where the sky meets the ocean when you're looking out on the horizon?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. The sky meets the ocean. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Do you know how far that is out there? If you're on the beach looking out into the horizon, how far it is where the sky meets the ocean. And if you take a ship or a boat and keep going towards the horizon, it's always the same length of distance, because the distance doesn't change where the sky meets the ocean. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm not a math major, but yes,
Okay.
that makes sense.
No, but I'm just saying, but do you understand what I'm saying? Do you comprehend what I'm trying to say there?
Sure. It's the same distance from the beach to the
So
horizon.
how far would you say from the beach to the horizon that is?
I have no idea.
100 miles? 10 blocks?
I'm
going to give you the answer.
Yeah, I have no idea.
The answer is 3 miles. The answer is 3 miles. And we knew that. We talked about that. But if you start taking a trip out towards that horizon, you never catch the horizon. The horizon is not something that's obtainable, because you don't ever get there, because then you'll get the land, and then now it's land and whatever. But the visual of where the sky meets the ocean is 3 miles. It's called the horizon. Now, so my plan was I'm going to take 50% of her. We're going to take the yacht 3 miles out, starting right in front of her apartment in Redondo Beach. And that's where I'm going to put her half of her ashes. I kept a quarter of her ashes, which is in an urn that lives with me. Chyna still lives with me. I have her urn. And the other quarter I sent to her mother. But everybody that talks about, whatever anybody says that's different from that is not true. Because that's what it is. So I'm by the way, happy, if this means anything to you, to text you, email you, any email correspondence you want to see between me and her, the letter of the power of attorney that she gave me on behalf of taking care of her daughter, because she couldn't when she died, I'm happy to show it to you. I showed it to Eric. Eric went, oh my God. This is the day that he stole the footage of me finding her. He came over specifically to do that, because he never saw it. He wanted to see it. But I didn't know he was in her camp at this point. This was after the memorial and shit. He had no idea that she gave me power of attorney. He got involved with her when she went against me. And I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, because right now, I'm her saving grace, right? I'm her guardian angel. I'm her angel from God. I'm handling it. So, Chyna dies. I have power of attorney. I start the process of what it takes to bury somebody and to do all this. By the way, and she says, and one other thing, I don't have 1 cent to give you. And I don't have anything from her, maybe a bracelet or a necklace, because it was me and my daughters that were going to go into that apartment and pack up all of her shit. Not her, not Eric, not Rob, me and my daughters, because she was my family. We were her family, her only family. Not them. Me. Now, it took 6 weeks for the cops to allow us to go in and get the stuff. Why it took that long, I don't know, but they wouldn't let us in. But we went in, and I took a picture, and I have this. I have all of this stuff, of every single piece of anything that was in that place, whether it was a ring to a lighter to a bar of soap. I shot every individual, or every shoe, every piece of clothing, everything. Packed it up, bagged it up, stored it. I had to walk in to that apartment and see her purse sitting on the table there as if she was going to go get it any minute. I saw her phone plugged into the wall, charging. Her phone charging. That's what I walked into with my kids. And we wept, man. We fucking wept. And I did all that. And the furniture that was in there, it was all stuff that Renee had given her, my friend from Italy. This beautiful Betty Davis picture that Jan will talk about that thinks it's hers. It was a picture that Betty Davis gave to Frank Sinatra and hung over Frank Sinatra's dining room table in Palm Springs for 40 years. That's what this picture is, of Betty Davis when she was in her late 30s. And Renee's mother lived in Palm Springs and went to the Frank Sinatra estate sale and bought Frank's dining room table, and with the table came this photo. And it's huge. It's like 24 by 36 in a beautiful gold frame. So when Chyna and I were hanging out with Renee and Pierre Giovanni and our Italian friends in L.A., and they were great people, Chyna finally got her apartment, and Renee says, I got some stuff. I got this great, amazing coffee table. It's worth like $4,000. It was made by so-and-so in Japan and whatever. But we changed our decoration, so we're just in our storage. You can have it. So we went and got it. That picture was Betty Davis. Chyna, that's yours if you want it. Okay, great. We took it. We hung it. All this shit. Chyna bought a couch, a living room, sofa, love seat, couch, whole thing. That's all goes around for $2,300 at Living Spaces. She still owed $900 on it when she died. I paid the $900. I asked Jan, can I have it? She said yes. So that sofa is in my house. One of her TVs in my house. Other stuff, that little nooks and crannies in my house. Okay? Because Jan said to me, do whatever you want with anything. I just want a couple of little things, and I want a quarter of her body, and thank you for doing what you're doing. So I was like, I wasn't going to, sell shit, but I was thinking, who do I want to give this sweatshirt to? Because she had friends, and I was like, Joy, I want you to have this from Chyna. And she, oh my God, like you do when a family member dies, man. Like I did when my dad died a year ago, August. We went through his shit. What are we doing with it? Respectfully. I found so that day that we went in her purse was $5,500 in cash. And I told that to Jan, and I said, Jan, it's going to probably cost that to pay for all this shit. Just this cremation, the cost of when somebody dies. Forget about it. It's a lot. And I go, I'll keep track. And if there's any left or whatever, and I kept track of every penny that I spent, which I have, in and around her death, including the boat that we took out, which that was like $1,500 for 1 hour and 15 minutes. But that was an amazing experience, because I'm going to get to it. But Sean Waltman was on that yacht with me that day. Sean Waltman, ex-Pac, spoke at her memorial. That's who I am. Because he needed closure. So I gave him closure. I helped him through his darkest time at that time. He never stopped loving her. And he brought his girlfriend with him. And she's totally cool with it. And he spoke. And he apologized. It was amazing. The memorial is sick. I had a 10-piece fucking band. A 30-piece choir. You don't pay for that shit? You're talking to him. $33,000 to rent the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center, to pay the musicians, to pay for the sound, to pay for the video screen, to pay for the footage, to pay for the editor, to pay for all of it. $1,000 for the urn. Do you know what the urn is? The urn is Swarovski crystal and rubies and spikes. I'll send you a picture. I'm going to send you some shit. So you can continue just. I can't give it to you in a couple of hours, man. I mean, I'm living my whole life since 2002 with this. It's 18 years of it. I can't give you in a couple of hours. And I hope that you could just hear it in my voice, you know, who I am in this relationship and how this all went down and what's going on. So anyway, I spent 33 grand. The Lewis, who they embezzled from and who gave us our first 100,000 to try to make it, he gave me $3,000. My friend Renee gave me $7,000 because I'm flying people in. I'm paying for the whole thing, and I don't have money, but I had been busy. There was a lot of cons. I have a couple of talent that make a lot of money at these cons, and so I was doing okay. And I had like $23,000 to my name, and I put every penny of it into her memorial because I didn't want what happens to the Warrior and Macho Man and all the rest of them, who when they died, even Piper, I went to his funeral. It was in a freaking little room in Nowheresville, and 19 people were there. I wanted the world to celebrate Chyna. Online, celebrate, open to the public, first come, first serve, bring it. Okay? Everybody come. Not a moneymaker. You don't pay to get in. You had to ask online, and it was a remote. The first 1,500 people gets in. And that's how I did it. Okay? And you know what they did the night before? They hacked into her Twitter. They hacked into her fucking, Rob did this. Hacked onto her, because he had all the codes still. Had all of her, and by this time he was out because there would have been problems with him. So I'm gonna go to speaker real fast.
Okay.
Because I'm losing headphones.
Okay.
How do I do it? 1 second. Let me just put these guys in their case. Sorry. Okay, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay if I do this? Are you hearing me okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay. So the night before, he hacked into our account and spread and goes on line and on everything, everywhere, and says the Chyna memorial has been canceled. And went crazy on social media with that. And I'm seeing this at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And I got an entire day to produce for this memorial, and I have to deal with that shit. And so there was nothing I could do about it, and it really fucked up our attendance because I must have got 20,000 fucking responses after going, well, we heard it was canceled, but like 500 people did show up, so it was a really nice floor. The floor was full because it's a performing arts center. And did you think that Eric would come? But at this point, you know, I didn't realize that he was on heroin and all fucked up, and Rob and him had problems. So Rob had gotten the boot out of the project and had no paper on it. So he was just trying to fucking fuck with it, and all that shit was going on. Because I did the memorial when, okay, remember, we were doing a documentary about a year in her life, right? And throughout that year, I'm bringing in parts of her life within the year, wrestling to her childhood, to us trying to reconstruct Chyna, mind, body, and soul, all of that shit. So, because I went back to the intervention because I have something more I want to say about the intervention, too, and that made me lose my train of thought. So I guess I was talking about the memorial and doing it and all of that. And there's, I have footage from the memorial, but if you go on YouTube and do Chyna Memorial, you will see, because we, from the back room, had somebody just on their phone shoot it because Jan wanted to watch it. So we went online just for Jan to watch the memorial because the family didn't come. Why, I don't know, but they wouldn't come. They didn't come, but Jen wanted to watch the memorial. Okay? So, this is where it all went south with me and Jan, believe it or not. But at the intervention, real fast, and I'll get back to where Jan and I went south. At the intervention, after when she died, obviously the intervention didn't happen.
Right.
TMZ called me and said, accused me. They said, there's word out there that you prevented her from getting help because you wanted to wait for the TV show to do it, to get her help. I said, no. Let me tell you what happened. I wasn't waiting to get her help. When I saw that there was no other choice, that she needed the help, I called the TV show knowing that she would be okay doing the TV show, that they had the resources. 3 months at Betty Ford, a professional interventionalist, the money to do it. And it was part of our documentary anyway. So whether we did an intervention without the show or not, it was still going to be documented because it's part of the movie. So I wasn't waiting to get it done for our TV show to get done. They had to do legal stuff. I asked them on Wednesday. By Friday, we had it cleared. By Monday and Tuesday, we were going to shoot. By Thursday, we were doing the intervention. 8 days after my request. That's pretty fucking fast, if you ask me. And it wasn't until I saw her with that black eye on that Wednesday that I went, I got to get involved here. But the answer wasn't me doing what I did all the time, which was take her to the hospital, get her a bunch of fluids. She stays there for a day. I'm there. And it's just back to the same old bullshit. No, this time it was finals. This time we're going to get it done. So I'm going to set up a team, and I'm going to go in there, and it ain't me going to get her and dragging her by the hair to the hospital this time. She's going to go away for 90 days. Now, she had a choice to do it or not do it when it happened. And I guarantee you she would have done it. Definitely. She would have come out of there a new person, and we would have went on with what we were doing, and she'd be with us today, and she'd be clean and sober. I guarantee it. This is what I got to live with. But this is what I did. So I told TMZ that, and you know what they printed? Exactly what they said I did. He confirmed that he waited to get her help, for the TV show to be set up to get her help. Why didn't he just take the WWE offer that fucking Wednesday and drag her to help that day? Well, they don't understand. She wouldn't have done that. They didn't understand that was somewhere else for 30 days and it wasn't Betty Ford. And that wasn't going to stick. And she wasn't going to go in there with the right mental attitude. She had to make the decision. So that's why WWE didn't play in all of this. Is not because, so I'm not waiting for this. So I was so fucking pissed about that. And that's why I said, I'm not going to talk to anybody anymore. The Washington Post did me, and they did it right. And the only reason why I called them was because, or they called me, and I returned, was because everybody was reporting that when Chyna was found, there was all these pills and shit around her. And there wasn't. There was nothing, not even alcohol. But what's happened is the report has come back from the coroner's office that takes like 7, 8, 9 months. And it turns out what was in her system was a hell of a lot more than I knew what was in there. And what was in there was all of these drugs. I thought it was just the 2 drugs, but it was a whole bunch of other shit. And you know what her blood alcohol level was?
Jan said to me it was 0.3.
I know, because Jan's been talking about this. And that's why she said there was alcohol, he threw away the bottles, all that shit. This is why I'm here to tell you. I know this may be one of your questions, because I know that she's out there telling people this. She had been, and that's why I told you the story about Joy Joy. She had been drinking all day, probably since 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And when they left, they took the alcohol or the bottles or whatever. They didn't leave a bunch of bottles. They didn't leave her with more alcohol. They just left, took all the shit with them. But she'd been drinking all day long. Her blood alcohol was like 2.8, dude. You know what legal is? Like 0.8. She had so much fucking alcohol in her system. I believe that's what ultimately killed her. I think she would have lasted another 4. I think the pills would have eventually gotten her, but the pills would not have got her if she had not had that alcohol that day, on that day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not blaming Joy Joy. I love her. I'm not blaming her. Chyna made her own choices. Joy wasn't doing anything wrong. Chyna was bored. Joy came in because they live out of town. They're like in Ocean City or something. They're like a several-hour drive away. So it was a treat for Chyna to have them over. And then they went and Chyna bought Joy's nephew a bunch of clothes and shit at Target because it was his birthday. And they got alcohol and they drank their brains out that day. She died that night. She'd been putting medicine. Go ahead.
Real quick. So Joy was drinking with Chyna then, right?
I would assume she was drinking with her.
So, but
yeah, absolutely. No, the answer to that question is yes.
So, one of the questions I would have then is like, you were relaying to Joy, I would imagine at that point that Chyna was really struggling and maybe, should not have been drinking at that point, right?
No, I had no idea they were drinking. They weren't telling me they were drinking.
Okay.
He told me after the fact.
Okay.
And so I knew, you guys were drinking. But I didn't say, that might have killed her. I've never said that to her. I've never wanted her to feel like, she was the cause or anything. But I had no idea that – I didn't even know Joy was there until after she left. She hit me up and goes, hey, I spent the day with Chyna. I said, oh, my God, really? She goes, we're heading back. I go, oh, wow, how is she? She goes, well, she's Chyna, and that was it kind of stuff. But I didn't get too deep with Joy about anything other than that. And she goes, but don't worry about it because her boyfriend's name, I can't remember his name. Because he's driving because I'm certainly not in a position to be driving. Ha ha, hee hee, you know me kind of shit, right? So that led to, so you guys were drinking. Yeah, we were drinking. Okay, so that was it. Not like, hey, you shouldn't have been drinking. Or again, I'm not a fucking police officer.
No, I'm just wondering. And you're saying you believe that she took the alcohol with her, and that's why there was no alcohol in Chyna's home.
Oh yeah, I'm certain of it. Or they probably drank it, and she took the trash with her, or she took it with her. That's why there was no alcohol there, and why Chyna had a 2.8 blood alcohol level, because she was drinking with Joy all day long, and Joy left with whatever the remnants was.
Okay.
The bottles open, empty, full, whatever was left, probably all gone. And she took the bottles with her. That's what happened. Not I threw away bottles of alcohol. As a matter of fact, it made my point. Chyna wasn't drinking, everybody. There's no alcohol. There was no alcohol in her fridge, no alcohol at the bed, no alcohol in the kitchen. There's no alcohol here, everybody. That's what the person who found her was telling everybody that, and the idiot mother is telling everybody, hey, he must have threw away the alcohol. Hey, you fucking idiot. I have footage of me finding her. All of you bunch of fucking morons. Tell your stories. Tell it the way you want to tell it to make me look like whatever you want me to make me be. But I know who I am. In my heart. I lived it. If any of you would have done anything, she'd still be here. So fuck all y'all. But if you think I'm going to sit here and defend myself to those bunch of fucking losers, you're out of your mind. I'll give you the story, and that's what I'm doing. So you can understand a little better about how hard this is for me, man. Now, let me continue.
Okay.
So, the intervention. So that's the alcohol part. And I didn't know she was drinking until after Joy left, and I didn't know she was taking all these drugs. Had I known on that fucking Thursday when Eric and that fucking asshole Rob was there, and she laid out all these drugs. It's on footage. I'll show you. Want to fucking see it? I'll send you some pieces if you want to see it.
You're welcome to send us whatever you think would, go along with the piece.
I'm just trying to tell you that there's footage of them shooting him while she laid out in a row, longer than your fucking leg, of shit that she was consuming on a daily basis. Now, if I knew that, I would have went over there and dragged her by the hair to the fucking hospital. And then we would have done the other shit. But I had no idea until afterwards that she was on Ritalin and you name it, man, oxycodone, and look at the fucking toxology report. I'll send you that too if you want to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great if you'd like to
send
that
one.
one.
But it took 9 months to get it. So once it came back, everybody's going, wait a minute, where's the alcohol coming from? Or where? I didn't know so it's in the toxology report. That's why they know there was alcohol in the system, and that's why Jan thinks that what did I do about all that? I didn't do anything. I just walked in and found her, man. And then I took care of your daughter. I gave her a send-off that you didn't come to, that your partner in crime, Rob Patillo, tried to fucking fuck over that piece of shit. Because you know why? Because he wasn't there getting some goofy attention. Was a fucking loser, man. Sold conversation with him and Chyna on Skype while she was fucked up to Channel 8 after she died, mentioning me and that I fired Anthony Anzaldo for all of Los Angeles to see. This fucking asshole. For $800 or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was, but it's probably something like that. Piece of shit. Okay? Never once said thank you to me. When I dropped him off at his apartment that I helped him get after he stayed with me for 3 months and bought him a mattress, and you know when he got out of the car? I'll see you later, man. That's that guy. Whatever. I don't do things for them. I do things for me because of how it makes me feel, not for how they react to it. You live a life of expectation. You live a life of disappointment, Chyna. These are the things that her and I talked about. But anyway,
sure.
So I feel comfortable that I've hit all the stuff about finding her and about the intervention part of it and all of that. And now we're talking about back to the doc. I picked her up on, it was like June 20th. Or I'm sorry, it was the 9th of June. Okay. And the memorial was the 9th of June. 1 year later, 365 days. You know how the year ended? Send off. How about that arc? 365 days after I picked her up was her memorial. So that was in June, but she died in April, but I waited because I had other stuff going on in my life. And if I was going to put this on, I needed money. I needed to make some money. And I knew I was going to be making some money. And I needed to I needed time. But it wasn't going to be like Piper and all those other wrestlers that when they die, I wanted to do it right and give her fans to be in on it. And those people just tried to stop it. How do you do that? Who does that? And the mother, you can't come to I'll fly you out. For you to be in the front row would be amazing. So if you go online, Chyna Memorial, you can watch it's not a great shot. It kind of goes all over the place a little bit. The audio's pretty good, but you can watch the memorial. And it's long. It's like 2.5 hours. So watch it. And you tell me what you think about that. And that meant everything to me. It took every penny I had. I didn't give a shit. Or what people were saying about me. I've had stuff I told you to send to me. I've had death threats. I still get them. Dude, I still get them. Still get them. So the memorial starts. Now, if I were to write a book, and there will be one, it won't be the story kind of necessarily we're telling at all because I wouldn't get this details. But if the book was our conversation that we've had since we started this conversation, and we broke it up into chapters, there would be a chapter simply called The Cello. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the cello because this is the crux of the entire issue. When Chyna died, all of her stuff was left basically for me because her mother gave me that right. So while Chyna was alive, when she was growing up, she played the cello. When I was spending a lot of time with her, our first go around, 2002 or whatever that was, to 2008, she had a cello and would kind of always tinker with it and play with it. And she played cello. I have some great footage of her from 2006 when we were having a party at her apartment and a couple of musicians came over and everybody's jamming. And she just started jamming on this cello. I'll send that to you. I'll send it to you. And she's just fucked up and sweating her ass off and just rocking on this electric cello. It wasn't like a normal. It was like, it was a regular cello. It wasn't a regular cello. It was like an electric one. It was awesome. Anyway, it'll be in my project because they don't have that stuff. I have that, but they don't have that. Like I told you, I have 9 hours of audio of her and I speaking strictly about her years in the WWE because we were going to do that book. because I did a book called Growing Up Brady, which is about the 5 years that Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady, did on the Brady Bunch. And then we made it into a movie for NBC called Growing Up Brady. Kaylee Cuoco was Marsha, played Maureen McCormick. Adam Brody from the OC played Barry Williams, their first jobs, and that was in 99. All right. So I have experience book to movie. So let's do a book, Chyna. People want to know all of your, and I think I told you this already in the past conversation we had, but I have that audio. So I'm going to incorporate that into stuff. Everybody wants to talk about what's true and what isn't. I'm just going to, while knowing that she had delusional disorder, which people are going to now know because I'm going to let them know what that is. And you know what? That's going to help people who are going to see it and go, well, I know, wow, that's what it is, or whatever. Because you keep going, why is she lying? Why is he lying to me all the time? Sometimes they don't realize it. They don't realize. I'm going to show examples of it in my project. Chyna's emphatically denying her participation in the sex tape with Sean Waltman on the phone. And him going, why are you saying this? And then showing her professing their love at the Troubadour in the freaking parking lot, talking about how excited she is that this tape is coming out. I mean, shit like that. And I never made a penny. Chyna, here's a check for $100,000 that you cashed. Here it is. I got it from Red Light. So, but I didn't go there because now that adds too much stress on the brain. You don't go, you're lying. Look at this, Chyna. No, you got to get there with help, psychiatric help, psychological help. We weren't there yet. This was a process, a 1-year process. We did the body. She's catching on. She's fallen back into her old ways, but we're, getting through it. She's making money. That's good. She knows that people still know who she is. She's living where she wants to live. Things are moving along. Life is with your family, getting her family back together. All me, man. All me. She's on a cold cement floor in Tokyo with no heat and no internet and no way to get to America 6 months earlier. So, again, fuck everybody. No.
I only have one question left, Anthony, and it's kind of going back a little bit here. And I'm sure it's a question.
But I do want to continue with the finish my story, though.
Okay, sure.
I promise I'll wrap it up. But go ahead.
No, that's fine. Finish your story, then I can circle back. I was just trying to find a good. I didn't know where you were trying to put your period there, so I'll let you finish here.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am kind of going back and forth because I felt like the fact that her memorial was exactly 365 days to the day that I picked her up in New York on our 1-year quest of the reconstruction of Chyna was kind of relevant. Mm-hmm. And along the way, we did bits with Barry Williams. Because guess what? Barry was in New York because I put him on a show called America's Worst Cooks, but it was a celebrity version. So he was in New York when I was picking up Chyna because that's part of what I do. And Barry played Greg Brady, and he's a friend of mine for 20 years. I've been in 2 of his weddings. So what happened was I created a touring show called The Original Idols. And the Original Idols were some of the original singing idols that I could get to do a summer fair tour, casino type thing. And the lineup was the Bay City Rollers, which consisted of one original member, which was like the 5th roller. Okay. But he had the name. It was a band called the Cowsills, who did the theme from Hair. They did they did the theme from Love American Style, for example, and had other hits. But they were a family that the Partridge Family was made out of. They were the family that actually existed that the producer turned into the Partridge Family. There's only 3 of them left, 2 brothers and a sister. I put them back together, and now they still tour the world from that. I changed their lives. Now they tour again, and it's been fantastic. And they're part of the Happy Together tour with the Turtles and all that stuff that goes every year, So they were on the show. I had Barry Williams, Greg Brady hosted, Rex Smith, who was a teen idol. I got Lace Garrett to do this tour for $3,000 a show, okay? Because it wasn't a big money maker. but we got the tour. You got to sell merchandise, and that was the tour. So we got New Year's Eve at the Flamingo in Las Vegas. A Flamingo. We were playing that red room. The seats are all red. The booths are all red. We had Vegas, New Year's Eve. And I brought Chyna. Okay, now this is the first go-around with Chyna. This is pre-2008. So like 2007 probably, I did that tour. It wasn't the year that she came back and we were doing a thing. It wasn't the year that we were doing the doc. It was the previous time with her. So that's when this was. So and I have the footage. I have the footage. And it becomes relevant because there's a part. So Barry, during the show, Barry gets his own little time. He sings. He talks about the Brady Bunch. And what he does at a particular part in the show is he asks people to come up on stage and learn the Brady Bunch dance. And so he goes in the audience, he goes, hey, you'd be a great Marsha. And he gets some guy that's like 65. Oh, you'd be a great Maureen, great Marsha or whatever. And it'd be some, little kid. And, oh, we got to have Tiger the dog and get some lady, And so bring up and then he'd bring up other people. And so he'd have a kind of a row of people on stage with him. And now he teaches them the Brady dance. And then we play the Sunshine Day music and they do the dance. And he then gives them all a certificate and makes them honorary Bradys for life. I thought it would be fun at this Vegas show for Chyna to go up on stage and be one of the people that does the Brady dance with him. So I'm backstage. Chyna's in the audience. And I say to Barry, when you go out and get the audience, grab Chyna as one of your people. He goes, okay. And I tell Chyna, when he starts talking about, the Brady Bunch, doing the dance and everything, be ready because he's going to come get you then, okay? But he tells the story. He kind of does his own thing. It's about 4 or 5 minutes before he starts to go out and get the people because we show a little video and there's some shit in and around that little segment. Now, keep in mind, Vegas, Flamingo, New Year's Eve. This guy thinks he is Johnny Bravo. He's been waiting for this moment his entire life. So it comes to this part in the show. It's a packed house, sold out, 4,700 people. He starts talking about the Brady Bunch. The next thing you know, Chyna comes walking on stage. He's like, oh, hey, hi. He's like, hey, Barry. And she's all fucked up. And it's like, oh, my God. What are we doing? And are we dancing or what? Let's dance. I'm Marsha. And he immediately goes into, I think that's a good idea. He saved it by going, you know what? I think that's a really good idea. Why don't we go out and start doing it? And so they're walking out and she's grabbing people and she's fucking falling all over herself. And they go up and they do the dance. And when it's over, she still won't leave. So I go out there and I walk her off stage. Now, he was not happy.
I would imagine.
I was not happy. And that was not a good time for me and Chyna in our relationship because I was not happy. However, it happened. Now, fast forward. Now we're doing this documentary, The Reconstruction of Chyna. It's all about asking for forgiveness. So I had this great idea, well, what I thought was, and it turned out great. Chyna, we're going to go apologize to Barry Williams because this is what you're doing as part of your reconstruction. And we're in New York, and right off the bat, day 2 of us being in New York, we're already beginning the process of our apologies for where we need to go do it. And I called Barry. I go, Barry, I got Chyna. I go, I want to shoot this for the documentary. She's for her apologizing for walking on stage that time. He goes, oh my God, that's great. I love it. So that's what we did. So we did a little backstory with Barry. It's a shot with him, shot with Chyna, shot them meeting together. It's a beautiful New York skyline, shot beautifully, except Eric's finger is in so much fucking footage, it blows my mind. It drives me. You believe that? This fucking guy, there's a piece of his finger in the upper left-hand corner, almost every fucking thing he shot. How? I don't know. If he just, the lens while he was looking in it, it had a circle around there and he didn't see it. It's unfucking believable, this fucking piece of shit. Nothing was good. Nothing. But anyway, so it's gorgeous, except, of course, I got to take that out. And they had an amazing conversation and nothing but love. And she felt so good about it, and he felt so good about it. And then we did post talks with each of them. And again, I got the footage of when she did it. How fucking cool is that? Guess what? When she died, he performed at her memorial. The art continued. Barry was there and sang "These Are the Days of Our Lives," which is a song that we do in his show that Freddie Mercury did. It was the last song he ever recorded. And when Barry does "These Are the Days of Our Lives," we have a big video screen, and it shows this behind-the-scene Brady Bunch stuff that when they all went to London and Robert Reed gave them all little cameras, and they all shot these home movies. And these are those home movies in Barry's show with this song. And he did that song at her memorial, and on the video was her life when she was a baby. So when she was... It's hard, man. Anyway, then when we get to Vegas, we hang out with Coolio, who's my boy. We did a label deal together. Coolio's my friend. They did shows together. He's been trying to hit it forever, and she just wouldn't give in. She just would not let him hang. He goes, she's a baby. Come on, let me just. She goes, Coolio, no, it's not that I'm, and I can't tell you the reason why, but it just wasn't happening. But they loved each other, and we have a whole night on tape, and he shot something for us about sending it for the getting into the Hall of Fame stuff that I have on tape, and she's in the background laughing, and we just had a hug fest that night and just had a great time. He performed at her memorial, and he did the song "See You When I Get There," which is a hit for him about what happens when you die. I'll see you. And he went on stage and he talked about, she called me, man, and I didn't take the call. I didn't take the call, man. She called me every day for 1 week, her last week of her life. And I didn't take the call. I'm asking you people, take the call. Take the call. And he did this song with his band, and I had strings. I had a 5-piece string section, man, from the girl who was teaching her cello. Her cello teacher got me the string section and played Chyna's cello at the memorial. And Coolio performed at the memorial. So let me get back to the cello. So Chyna, growing up, played cello. And then I went back to where in 2006 we have that footage. Now, she gets to L.A., and she's now living with me. She goes, I want to buy a cello. That's like the first $5,000 she got. So we went and visited the guy that she's been buying her cellos from for 20 years. It's this Japanese, I don't know what, he's an Asian of descent, and he's got this house. And in it, the entire house is fiddles, cellos. He's working on them. He's selling them. He doesn't speak any English, but she speaks Japanese. So they're communicating. Turns out he gives her like a $10,000 cello for $2,500. And I'm shooting all of this. I'm shooting us there. I'm shooting us with the cello. Turns out Jan plays a little cello, I think. Okay? But I'll get to that. So we buy this cello. She comes home. She starts taking cello lessons. Every Wednesday she's got lessons. And it's right down the street. She walks there. Dude, I had her so set up, it was unbelievable. So she's walking there. She's got money. She's doing great, usually with her. But like the other shit, this train wreck chick, it's not all the time. It's like every couple of months. It wasn't all the time until the end, and it became the binge that killed her. So there's most of the time she was totally cool. We'd go do yoga. We would have a trainer. We worked out together every day. What are we doing today, sweetie? What? I got to do this, so I won't be seeing you today, but I can stop by later and bring you something if you want. Or she stopped by without even announcing. Did I want to come by? One time she showed up. She knocked on my door, and she was holding a guitar, a big baby Taylor. She knew I loved. We were in a music store one day, and I went, "Oh my God, the big baby Taylor! I love that fucking guitar. I'd kill to have that. Like $500." Just out of the blue, one day, she knocked on my door in my condo, And I opened the door and she goes, I'm not staying. I just wanted to give this to you. And she walked away. And I played that guitar at her memorial. She just gave it to me. The shoes I was wearing that night, she gave to me, just because she would just give me gifts on occasions, cards. I just say, I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and love you, and my life would be so different without you. I'll show you. Whatever. I'm just saying. Just a random act. That's who she was, man. She was so kind, so good to her fans, so smart, so amazing. Look what she pulled off, man. The Mount Rushmore of wrestling, if there's only 4 of them, she's on there, as far as I'm concerned. Nobody did what she did. She created an entire new avenue with the women. The only woman to win, to have a man's belt and to beat the guys, and they offered her the championship. That's how much they believed in her. Nobody has ever done that. And now it's completely different. So nobody can do what she did. But anyway, so the cello. So now we have the cello. The cello is amazing. So when I sent Jan all the stuff of Chyna's stuff, and I said, what of this do you want? And she told me what she wanted, 4 or 5 items. And the picture of the cello was in there. Well, she could have whatever she wanted. I think the TVs. Jan, what do you want? She mentioned the cello. She didn't say anything about the cello. I didn't know she played cello. I didn't know anything. So she tells me what she wants. So now I'm getting ready to do the memorial. And I'm going to start a foundation, the 9th Wonder of the World Foundation. And it's going to raise money. Her royalty, because again, I'm power of attorney, so I have the estate. So I'm going to set up a foundation where we're going to give money to rescued animals, because she was very much into rescue, as I am, and we're very close with Linda Blair, who has the Linda Blair World Heart Foundation, and she rescues. And the Barbie twins, who rescue. Chyna and I went to UCLA with the Barbie twins and paraded and protested against the doctors that are continuing to feed these monkeys methamphetamine, that because the government still gives them $2 million grants every year, when you don't need to do that anymore because now we have DNA. But they continue to torture these animals. So we went there. I have that footage, 2006. Chyna and I at UCLA, screaming and yelling at these doctors. Okay? Chyna was very much into rescue and the animals. So foundation was going to give money to animal rescue and to the school, to children in need of literature, because Chyna had a degree in literature, and physical education. So Chyna owed $120,000 to the IRS. I was on the verge of settling for $6,000 when she died. None of that has happened because Jan has now taken over all that. And they want her IRS records, and I won't give it to them because I went and got that shit. You want her records? Go do what I had to do. She's dead now. You just want her royalty. You just want her to be down to 0 so you can start collecting that money, because the IRS is taking everything. But that was all going to be settled. And I could have settled it if they would have just let me continue to do what I was going to do. I had her put into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame at that memorial. Those people came. I had her outfit, cost me $900, get remade so we can have it hanging in the Hall of Fame, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, of which she's in. Okay, because they came and did that. But anyway, during the memorial, these are some of the features I was doing for her fans and for her family, because I felt she deserved it. So anyway, so the cello. So we're going to start this foundation. And what I want to do is, there's this school in Los Angeles. It's for underprivileged kids. And it's a music school. It's for kids that have musical talent but can't afford to go to school or do it. So the school is free. And the instruments, they use the instruments at the school. I called the school. I wanted to learn more about it. It's a nonprofit. All is by donations, all that, blah, 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 blah. I tell them about what I want to do. I have a cello. I have a cello. That's what I said. I have a cello. And I want to donate it somehow, or is there a student we want to give it to on stage during the memorial? And she goes, well, listen to this. There's this girl. She's been with us since the 2nd grade. She is a virtuoso cellist. She has a scholarship, San Diego State University. So she's graduating. But you know what she doesn't have? A cello. And I went, oh, it's going to be tough to get through this story, man. So just bear with me. I'm sorry, but just bear with me. So I say, do you think that we can get her to the memorial, maybe fill her mom in on it, and just say that, there's a string section there, and come to we've been invited to this memorial, and, we'll just get her there and not tell her why. And she's like, oh, yeah, we can do that. So I get on the phone with the mother of the child, and I tell her, and she's loving it. And, oh, my God, this is amazing. It's a $10,000 cello. Okay. So the night of the memorial, the girl's in the audience. And it comes because I had to produce this memorial. This time we're showing these videos. Coolio's going to perform. Then more videos. Then I'm going to do the Hall of Fame thing. Then I'm going to perform. Then I got to do the cello thing. So I had to create the show. Which, again, you can see it all. Good, bad, or indifferent on YouTube. So it came time for the part, and I came out and said, okay, so I want everybody to know that I've started a foundation called the Ninth Wonder of the World. And the money is going to go towards animal rescue and the arts. And, as you guys know, Chyna was a literary master's degree recipient, and she spoke 4 languages, and she loved the language, and she was teaching the language, and she, and music, and of course, physical education for the kids. And as the foundation's first act of charitableness, I'd like to welcome somebody to the stage. So I bring the girl up. I ask her what her name is. Tell me about your school. Tells me about the school. I say, and you have recently, you've won a scholarship. She goes, yes. And I go, but word is you don't have a cello. She goes, I don't. So Chyna's cello teacher gets up from where she was while she's been playing Chyna's cello the entire night and hands it to her and says, now you do. When Jan saw that, she lost her mind. How dare you give my cello away? That was my cello. I play cello. I want that girl's name, and I want that cello back. And that's where the nightmare began. I now am the devil. I now killed her. She stripped me of my power of attorney rights. There is no foundation. Since then, Eric and Rob have been completely against me. They have all the footage, much of which is not theirs. Because everything I shot or that was shot in my place is mine. Everything that she shot of herself is mine because I have that right. I own that right. Not even her mother, because I have it in perpetuity. And it was for my documentary, of which she is an executive producer of. So they don't have the right to show that shit. They certainly don't have the right to show me. Nobody better show me finding her dead. And all that other stuff, of which Eric does have the right to show it. No problem. You want to show her with all her drugs at the end? Show it. You want to show her coming into New York without me in it? Show it. You can do anything that you have the right to do. As far as Chyna's mother is concerned, you want to make a documentary? Make it. You brought on some guy to do it. It's going to be more of the Joni Lore story. It's going to be more about her life and all that stuff, not as much about what we were doing. Do it. But you know what you don't get to do? You don't get to use any of my shit because Rob has all of it. All of it. And I doubt very much that she would want anybody to see me finding her daughter dead anyway. So I feel comfortable that they're not going to use that footage. But if they do, it's going to be bad news, man. So, but I'm getting off that. So,
yeah.
Chyna dies. Now, the night that she dies, 2:00 in the morning, and I get a phone call from Dr. Omalu. 2 in the morning. Who's Dr. Omalu? He's the guy that Will Smith played in that movie about CHT or whatever that the brain concussion issue with the football players.
CTE.
CGE.
CTE.
So he's the doctor that's the doctor behind all this.
Okay.
He's the guy that Will Smith played in the movie. And he goes, I heard, I'm so sorry for your loss. I hope it's okay. I got your phone number from the medical examiner, who is a friend of mine. And if you'll allow it, may I take her brain? Because once they do the autopsy, the brain is no good. So they kind of cut it up and they fuck with it. I need to go in and get the brain. She'll be the first female that I get to examine with your approval. Not Jan's approval, not Eric's approval, not Rob's approval, my approval. You know why? Because that duty was put in my hands. And thank God it was the only responsible one. That can actually pull it off, by the way. Hello? If you haven't noticed by now how deep I am into her, not money-wise, emotionally, spiritually, everything. Found her. Jesus Christ, man. So, and he says, I can get there and transport it. And so if you give me, I will send you an email, respond, confirm, and I can do that. I go, absolutely, and thank you so much for doing it. So he took her brain. And then they did the autopsy, and then I had her cremated. And that's how that worked. 9 months later, we got the toxicology report with all that shit in it. Now, it took about 3 years for the solution to start taking effect in her brain. Because I would be in touch with him, and he'd go, nothing's coming up yet. There's nothing. Finally, stuff started coming up, and she did not have it. That much we know. And that was it. But he got to study her brain. And I will sit down on my project. If they won't do it, they can't do it. They don't have them. I do. And he'll talk about that. My project's the real project. Their shit, whatever they do, get it out, have a nice time, a bunch of bullshit, whatever. My concern are these other people that Eric is involved with, because they already sold it's for advice. It's like the other side, the dark side of it's a version of the dark side of the ring. That's what Eric was able to pull off with people that didn't even know I was involved. And he's just giving it away as if he can, without any repercussion, while he embezzled from the other producer who gave him money. And that guy's going, what the fuck, man? What's going on? Dude, go get it. Because his deal was with him. The producer deals with not with Anthony. It was with Eric in his company. Here's the deal. I had a deal with Chyna. I had a deal with Eric. Eric had a deal with that guy, the money guy. Eric never had a deal with Chyna. It was always through me. I mean, it's paper that says he does, but it's not notarized. And it's her, on the day of the footage that I can show you, she was in no condition to sign something. By the way, she couldn't because I already had it. Can't give it to two people. Mine is documented, notarized, picture taken, and she was sober. So everybody, including Jan, I know it's your daughter you didn't see for 35 years, but you know who owns the rights to Chyna? You're talking to him. What have I done with it? Nothing. I'm not in it like they're in it. I'm just trying to get through the day. In the meantime, they keep bringing me back in for this conversation. So, coincidentally, while everything is going to start happening, because I'm ready. But anyway, so the brain and all of that. Now I'm going to get to the memorial. Another thing, Sean Waltman, I'll fly you in. I paid for him to come in, so that he can have closure. And he cried on the podium. Look, you'll see it. Watch it. Rob Van Dam did me a favor. Hulk Hogan did me a favor, did a video. Jeff Jarrett did me a favor and did a video. These are friends of mine. I can just call. You think they're going to get Hulk Hogan to do anything? If you see The Rock in my movie or in my thing, then you'll know who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's like these guys all just putting low grade, look at me, fuck that guy who's got the power, who's got the shit, lower my credibility so that nobody believes me. Why? What did I do to you guys? I did nothing to anybody. I did nothing. I brought her back. I gave her a life. I made her money. I made her happy. I put her on the beach. You scumbags who you've known her for 2 months think that you own her. You nuts? Jan, they had 35 years to make good with her. And now you're all of a sudden Miss Mother of the Year? So she takes my power away from me and demands every piece of clothing, every piece of everything. And I'm supposed to pay to send it to her. So when she talks about me giving her lawyer a bad time, I told him to go fuck himself. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop it off in the parking lot. Thankfully, I'm the one who went and got it and boxed it. And you guys can take it from there if she wants the shit. I ain't paying for nothing. And by the way, I've given stuff away to her friends and some stuff and all that. So it's not all the stuff that's in these pictures are not all here because she told me I could. So I documented what I gave, not who I gave it to. Because you know why? Because Jan would be calling those people every day for that shit. You know what Jan did with the stuff when she got it? Sold it on eBay. Look it up. And maybe gave it to a charity because she's also into animal stuff. I'm sure she did. But I'm just trying to explain the difference between what I wanted to do with her legacy and what is her legacy because of those people. Why? I don't know. I gave away the cello. To this day, her mother is still calling that school weekly asking for that cello back. Do you believe that? And the woman at the school and the mother of the girl going, what do we do? I go, don't you do a damn thing. You legally own it. I gave it to you. And when I gave it to you, I legally owned it. Don't answer her calls. Do not respond. Do not fear. Definitely don't give it away. If you give it back, then now I'm mad at you. And it cost me my relationship with Jan. And by the way, it all would have been smooth had I just not given away the cello. But I didn't know I couldn't give away the cello. And by the way, did you hear the story of how I gave away the cello?
Yes.
And who has the cello? And how it changed somebody's life? And what do you think Chyna would have wanted? Her mom to have it in a closet? Or this girl making beautiful music in a symphony somewhere? Please, you guys. So that ended my shit with Jan, and it's been downhill ever since. Ever since. Now, I think that I've concluded, except one thing.
Okay.
Let's go back to the warrant for my arrest.
Oh yeah. Okay.
How lucky I was that day that they did not take me to jail is a miracle from God. It was maybe it was Chyna, because I had a warrant out for my arrest that was take this guy to jail the second you see him. That was the warrant. And those cops did not tell me that was the warrant. I thought they were fucking with me. And when I gave that detective shit about telling that guy, another cop came in and we kind of got into it a little bit. And at that moment, he could have said, you know what? Fuck you, dude. We're going downtown. And you know what downtown is in Los Angeles? It's Twin Towers. You're thrown in to the same place that the murderers, that anybody that comes in goes until you are processed. And it takes 27 hours to process it at Twin Towers. So you're in a big room with a guy that just got caught killing somebody, a big dope dealer. These guys are fighting, Mexicans, black people, white people. Because once you get processed and you get put into jail, they don't mix and match. They keep the whites with the whites, the black with the blacks, the Hispanics with the Hispanics. But as you're going in originally, you're all just mixed in. And it doesn't matter if it's a traffic violation or a murder case. That's how they do it. You wonder why there's a problem in this world. But anyway, he could have done that moment, on something I didn't know existed. So had he done that, the whole way of people finding out, the whole thing afterwards, the next couple of weeks would have been completely different in my life, and it would have really not been good for me.
What was the warrant for?
So, 4 years ago, okay? Now, this is the November after she died. She died in April. This is now November of the same year, 2016. I represent Ralph Macchio for his public appearances and his autograph signings and his Comic-Con. Not his theatrical, not the Cobra Kai, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, please do, because it's the best show on TV. But I work with Ralph. And Ralph's daughter sang at the memorial. I mean, total friends with those guys, with Chyna. Chyna went to Ralph's daughter's flash dance thing when they were in lockup. I mean, I had Chyna surrounded with great. See, Thomas Howell came to the Memorial. Had surrounded with Joey Buttafuoco was backstage. I mean, who fought her at Celebrity Rehab. The one dude that just recently died from the Bunny Ranch up there. She had carte blanche there, man. I mean, we had so much fun up there and shit. A lot of people came, but anyway, so Ralph Macchio, the Comic-Con. Oh, so it's November, and Ralph is doing an appearance in Napa, which is where I lived at the time. And Chyna would come up every Thanksgiving and Christmas and do Thanksgiving and Christmas with me and my family when I lived in Napa and she lived in Los Angeles on the first go-around of us hanging out from 2002 to 2008. She was never not with us on the holidays, and her birthday, which is December 27th. So Christmas right into her birthday, every year with us. Not her mom, not Eric, not Rob. So I go, oh, wow, Ralph, I'd like to go to this. And here's what it was. It was Francis Ford Coppola who directed The Outsiders, that Ralph was in The Outsiders with C. Thomas Howell. And are you familiar with the movie?
I mean, peripherally, I may have seen it years ago.
It was the first movie ever done. Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Ralph Macchio, C. Thomas Howell, Matt Dillon, Diane Lane, and a guy by the name of Fred Lane, who also cast The Godfather. He cast the movie for Coppola, but the book was done by S.E. Hinton, who was 15 years old, and a young woman out of Tulsa who wrote about her own life. And it was about these kids that were gangs and the socias who were the rich people and how they battled each other. Read the book. It's fantastic. It's in the curriculum. So when I do cons with Ralph and CT, these teenagers come up and they can't believe they're meeting Johnny, which was Ralph's character name.
Right.
And Stay Gold, Pony Boy. Stay Gold, Pony Boy. It's in the vernacular. So watch the movie. Anyway, so Francis Ford Coppola, he gives a lot of money to literacy. So he asked Ralph if he would come for this presentation and speak with him on stage and all that stuff and do dinner with him. And Ralph said, absolutely. So Ralph flew in from New York. I picked him up. We went and did it. We had dinner. I sat and had dinner with Francis Ford Coppola and Ralph Macchio. I said 2 words, hello and goodbye, because I was not going to interfere in that time Ralph had with that guy and them talking about their experiences and movies and do you watch foreign films and all this stuff that I knew meant so much to Ralph and the time that he got to spend with him. And I was just a fly on the wall. And I know my place, man. I know my place. So we did the dinner. We did the do. Ralph went to his hotel. And I, from there, was driving then to Los Angeles, which is where I was now living, okay? Because I left the Bay Area 7 years before. I'm now living in Los Angeles, drove up about 6 hours, and then afterwards was going to drive back because I had a 2 o'clock meeting the next day. And I think it was the 1st of November because the election was coming up. And so I'm driving to L.A. I stopped at a Denny's. I think I was still in Napa County. No, I was in Sonoma County. I was only like an hour into my drive. And I pull over because I was feeling tired. I wanted to sleep a little bit. And then I would start driving again. And if I had to get a hotel, at least it'd only be for a couple of hours or whatever. So I fall asleep at a Denny's in my car in the parking lot. I get a tap on the window. It's a cop. You okay? I said, yeah, man, I was just driving from Napa to L.A. and I just got tired, so I pulled over to take a nap. He goes, you got ID? I said, sure. I give him the ID. He comes back. He says, can you step out of the car, please? I said, sure. Put the cuffs on me. You have the right to remain silent, and he arrested me. And I said, why are you arresting me? He says, I'll tell you, you'll be told when we get to the station. He says, I suggest you call somebody to pick up your car. I called my ex-wife who lived in Katati, which was about an hour and a half. And her husband, who I caught the two of them in bed when we had 5 kids together. My kids were 7 to 17, and I busted her with this guy. So she never came home again. She stayed with him. And she got on meth, became a meth addict, and for 10 years did meth, had another child with this guy on meth. The baby's okay. She's 16 now. Love her to death. My ex-wife ended up getting sober and clean and became to get a relationship back with my kids at that time. And her boyfriend, husband at the time, also got clean. And together, the two of them came and got my car. And I was very grateful for that, even though I hated that motherfucker. But I was over her. And that was that. So that happened in my life, 2002, 2003. Around this time, I was meeting Chyna for the first time. But that's my story. So I get to the station. They tell me that I have a warrant out for my arrest for a failure to appear on a suspended license from 2011. I go, wait a minute. I have a driver's license. How am I able to get a driver's license if I have a failure to appear on a suspended driver's license? I had to have taken care of that. I don't recall not appearing. I would always appear. I have no idea. Not an excuse, but is my driver's license legal? Yes, it is. Well, how is it legal if that's legitimate? Well, somebody must not have corrected that or something. Now, we're talking it's 2016, 5 years earlier, and I don't recall any of that. As a matter of fact, I don't recall ever having my driver's license suspended, to be honest. But it's possible I did and didn't or whatever. But to not show up, and what happened was the judge must have been in a bad mood that day, because you have from a $5,000 to a $50,000 bail on that. If it's a $5,000 bail, it's a soft warrant. Nobody's going to take you to jail. They're going to tell you, go take care of this. A $50,000 warrant. Maybe there was something else involved. Maybe they found some drugs. Maybe there was an altercation with the police. Maybe there was whatever. But most of the time it's because the judge is just pissed off because this motherfucker didn't show up, and he's had 3 in a row, and he's tired of people not showing up. So he gives me the full-on $50,000 warrant. And that's why they arrested me. So I spent 5 days in that jail in Sonoma, thinking that was going to be my time in jail. So 5 days are up, and and the day I got out was the day after the election. So I didn't even know, like, there's no TV, there's no nothing. You get out of your cell 1 hour a day just so you can eat. And I didn't eat. Ham sandwiches. I lost like 7 pounds in 5 days. I'm just waiting to get out of there. And fortunately, I don't work for anybody. I don't have to call anybody. Now my family's trying to get me out. I'm telling them, don't. Because I get 1 call a day. But by the time you get to the phone, they're all being used up. And everybody stays on them until it's no more time. So I was able to make like 2 calls the entire time I'm there. One was to my brother to not do anything. Okay? Don't pay somebody $5,000 to get on a bail, whatever it is. Just I'll do my time, whatever it is, and I'll get out and it'll all be over with. But I need you to make like 7 really important calls for me. I can't disappear and not people that I'm working with on projects go, where the fuck is this guy? Let my brother handle a bunch of shit and just let the family know. Okay? It's all good, whatever. So I thought in 5 days they were going to let me go and it was all good. Well, the 5 days are up and I was just in a holding tank. What ends up happening in the state of California, if you have an issue in Los Angeles County, you're arrested outside the county, you have to go to that jail. And then once a week, the bus, the big-ass police bus, starts in Sacramento and works its way down through California, through the most horrendous freaking jails in the country, from from Alcatraz to the Folsom prison where Johnny Cash performed, all the big fucked in jails. So when I got out, I go, where are my clothes? They go, clothes? You're going to L.A. We haven't even started this. You got to go to L.A. now. We've just been holding you for L.A. What? They put me in a room, and I was motherfucking, I'm screaming and yelling, pounding on the door. They're all laughing at me, and I'm just, oh, my God. So I had to wait 4 hours, thinking I was getting out, and my ex-wife was there to pick me up. I said, I got to call my ex-wife and tell her not to come, you asshole. They go, well, when she comes, we'll tell her. And they did. And she left. I never saw her. They put me in a bus. No, they put me in a van, handcuffed. And there's one seat in the back, and it's a steel seat, and I'm sliding back and forth as they're taking, because there's no seatbelt, taking turns and driving me to Sacramento, where at that county prison, they were loading me in with those people to begin an 11-hour drive to Los Angeles, picking up all of these hardened criminals who, for the same reason, have to go to L.A. And some of them have court appearances because their baby mamas are there or the issue was there, but they moved them to a maximum security prison because they might have killed somebody. These are the people that I'm sharing a bus with, shackled, on my way down to Los Angeles County, Twin Towers. And I had no idea what that was about. But I was about to find out. We stopped once to get food at a Carl's Jr. And here's what they did. They did a head count. And then they came back with, 22 bags of whatever the number one was, some fries, and a Coke. Forget the fact that I'm vegan or that I certainly wasn't going to take orders. And by the way, my bag, which I didn't eat, became the most interesting part of the entire trip. Who's going to get it? How about you give me half the fries? You give that guy half the fries. We'll cut the burger in half. These are people are all addicts. It's like, holy shit. So I gave away my food. We get to Twin Towers. It's 27 hours on intake. And I'm sitting around watching people talk about their lives and why they're there. And fuck this motherfucker. When I get out, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to put a plug in him, and I ain't going to think twice about it. And they got, tattoos on their faces, and, it's just horrible. I finally got in to a cell, a holding cell, with this thing where there's one toilet that didn't flush, and the little water faucet did no water. I was in that cell for 3 days. 3 days. Not a drink of water. They brought in sandwiches. That was it. And I gave those away. No water, man. It was like, what about water? Well, if we give you water, we got to give them water. So there would be a water thing that came around during the food time, and you'd get a little styrofoam cup full of water. And that was our water. And that's what I had for 3 straight days, standing around because people were just sleeping on the floor and on the floor for 3 days until my court date came up. I got a court date. So on the morning of my court date, they come in and get me, take me to another cell. This is the cell where now you get in the van to go to the court. But they don't come in. They'll come one time and call your name. And if you don't hear it, you don't get in the van, you miss out. It's not like, Anthony, you got it? Okay, we take him this way, please. All right, we got you. Okay, all is good. Get in the van. All right, we make note that we have you in our care and that you're, oh no. If they go, Anthony Anzaldo, and I don't hear it, they call it out once. And if you don't come to the front, we're up against the bars going, it's me, it's me, it's me. And we'll see in a week or so. Ain't no lie. I heard my name after 7 hours in this cell. About 5 in the afternoon. They take me there. Now I'm in LA County. Oh, I'm sorry. It's where it's the Torrance. It's where the original offense took place. So now I'm back in my neighborhood at the Torrance County Courthouse. But guess what? We missed my appearance. So I got to stay there all night until the next day. But they promised me that I can leave from there if the judge says we're good to go. I don't have to go back and check out at the Twin Towers. So the whole day goes by. I go in front of the judge, and now I'm a mess. they broke me, man. I'm 9 days in. 9 days in, and I am broken. And they let me make a phone call, and I called my mother. And I just said, they got me, man. I'm defeated. And she's like, Tony, what's going on? I go, a traffic violation, Ma. A traffic violation. A failure to appear on a suspended license that I don't even know if I ever had one. And by the way, I have a legal one now. So nobody can explain it to me. I know nothing. They go, okay, we're ready for you. Oh, my God. Now, I have an attorney. Because this is like a serious offense, apparently. They gave me a PA and said, how do you want to plead? I go, whatever it takes to get me out of here. She goes, well, I don't know if you're going home today. I go, why not? They go, well, it depends on what the judge says. What? She goes, you can do up for like 30 days. What? So I go up in front of the judge, and there's a prosecuting attorney who's trying to keep me in jail. What is going on here? Who are you? Well, he provides the case. My lawyer provides, well, this is what Anthony says. And now the judge says, Anthony, what do you have to say? At this point, the prosecuting attorney is signing some paperwork from right at the table right there where his last client was, and apparently wasn't paying attention for a minute as I pour my heart out. I don't know what I've done. And she explains, she says, how about this? We're going to just call it even, okay? You got $6,500 in fines, but time spent, you're free to go. And then the prosecutor goes, wait a minute, whoa, I didn't hear anything. What's going on? And I'm like going, dude, she just let me, what is your problem? So she lets me go. Great. Oh my God, I'm getting out of here. They take me to my cell. They start the process of getting me out of there. They come back and go, really sorry, you have a soft warrant. Red light in Van Nuys, 2013 that hasn't been taken care of. Now, it's not jail time, but I can't dismiss you from here. You got to go back there. They took me back to LA. It took 27 hours to get me out of there. I had to spend the night. They finally put me in a bed, but they made me go in a room, spread my butt cheeks, look under my balls, look down my throat, look in my ears, for me to go into this area where they feel comfortable that I can bunk with a guy in this room. The next day, they came and got me, and I finally got out. 11 days, dude. That was the warrant that the cop told me about when I found Chyna, and I had no idea existed. And that's what it ended up being, and that's the story of my life when I got it. So here's what I did. I called every fucking county in California because I drove from San Francisco Bay Area to LA 100 times in 15 years. And I wanted to make sure that I was clean everywhere. And wouldn't you know it, there was a couple of places that had a ticket on me. So I went to every one of them and paid and signed out and got cleared. And there's not a human on the planet that's got a cleaner driving record right now than yours truly. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, the only
question, feel free.
I have one question, Anthony, and I'm sure it's a question that a lot of people may ask coming out of this. Maybe the only one is like, why did you, if you knew that the landlord was doing a wellness check, still go of your own volition? Why not wait for the wellness check to be done to find out what the police did? Because that seems like that's where all of your troubles really started, was you being found there when the police were, before the police had gotten there, that kind of thing.
Well, there were no that's not where the problems started. But the answer is, if I fail to say it, she didn't tell me she was doing the wellness check. She suggested to me that I should do a wellness check. So call the police and do a wellness check. That would be my advice to you.
Okay, so she didn't say I'm calling.
I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Unbeknownst to me, she had eventually did that because she thought about it for a minute and went, maybe I should just call the police, is what she told me after. But I thought at the moment, I'm going to call the cops. What if she's not here? What if she's somewhere else? It wasn't like, oh, she's laying in her bed dead. It was like there's still a hope and a possibility that she's just passed out or sleeping or whatever. And if I just go up there and her door is open, then all is well. And we don't have to get into any of this. The cops and all that, and who knows what's in her place and what she's got in there.
Okay.
And I didn't want that scene.
Got it.
I'm the only one she can trust. It's me. So I felt that wasn't even an issue. I'm going to go try to, and while the real friends were all saying, dude, you have to go check on her. You have to check her. Not, I'm going to go check on her. You have to go check on her. And I was shooting merely because if I confront her or come face to face, we needed it for the story. Because it had been documented that we were on the out and that I was feeding her from behind the scenes and look what's happening to her. And now we're doing this intervention and all this stuff. I was self-journaling while she was self-journaling that week. Her journals are a little different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I am just, I don't know really why you're doing a story. I don't care. I'm not going to ask you why Jan called you or who called you or Rob or any of it, because I know you know all of them. Okay, I know whatever it is, it is. I don't even care.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I was going to ask you about. Is like, I did talk to Jan. I would still like to talk to Joy, because she's come up in both what you said and what Jan said, and I'm going to try to get a hold of Eric as well. But those are this is a story that just came to us, and we got.
But again, I don't understand why it came to you now. What is the story? What
Jan came
caused the story to be done?
Jan came to us expressing suspicion, I guess, around the passing of her daughter.
Okay, beautiful. So thank you for that. So that's all. So here's my very point in all this. She can't let it go.
Yeah.
It's like, let it go. I mean, what? So she just on and on. Like, she'll continue to call the school. She doesn't have the mother's name or the woman who has the cello, but she continues to call on a weekly basis demanding the cello. This woman is sick. She's not well. And to her own validity, her own admission, she's had to go through her own counseling. And I can certainly understand why. But she's sick. So I am so grateful to you that you let me do that. Yeah. And that you let me ramble. And that whether you use it, don't use it, want it, don't want it, misquote me, fuck it up, have ulterior motives.
Wow.
I don't care, man. Because it's on me. Now, I'll have a different opinion about you if it's that. But so what? That's whatever.
Well,
and we go on with our lives. But you won't hear from me about it. I won't critique it. I won't say you got that right or you got that wrong or thanks for saying that or not saying it. I just appreciate, you know what it now is? It's on the record.
Yeah, and
somebody now has it, has every piece of it. If you come up with any questions, you have any thoughts, you want to dig any deeper, hit me up, dude. You want to see any paperwork, you want to see some little bit of footage here and there that I could give you a taste of. You know why? Because I own it, and I can shove it up my ass if I want to. I could go on YouTube and show it if I want to. Technically, they're not allowed to. So what I know is Eric is involved in a project with these people. They're putting it on Vice. It's a Dark Side of the Ring, 2-hour version. They want me so bad because they know the story isn't told without me, and I'm not giving them the right, while they claim they still have the right because I signed a release when I did my sit-down. I said, I signed a release to do a sit-down in my own movie? I don't think so. I'd like to see that release and how it was signed because it was never signed by me. If I'm in it, you can't use it. If it's in my house, you can't use it. If she's in it and she shot it, you can't use it. Everything else, have a good time.
Thanks, buddy.
So
all right.
I know that Jan with Rob is trying to do their own thing. And I have been told that they have no interest in any of our footage because Jan doesn't want to know about it. She certainly doesn't want anything with me in it. It's this other thing that's bothering me regarding the footage because they told me they're not going to use anything other than what came off of Eric's camera. No iPhone footage, no grungy shit, nothing off of Chyna's iPad, nothing off of YouTube, only what Eric shot. And I'm like, okay, then no problem. But I never gave them clearance to use me, and they know that. And they're coming at, please, we'll do a sit-down with you. We'll give you $1,500, and we'll make you a consulting producer. Of my own movie? I don't think so. You guys, in this way, that's now out of my life. Now Eric's out of my life. I don't need to go to him for anything anymore. And as far as the guy, the producer who gave them the money that they embezzled from, that's not my problem. That's their problem. Even though I don't want to see this guy get screwed over, but he screwed me over because we did another deal on something else later, and he stiffed me and has been ghosting me for 3 years. So he's not going to come out of the woodwork when I do my thing. Eric's going to be in jail. He's out of the woodwork because he made his movie. And Rob doesn't have the rights to anything anyway, and he's in Jan's bed, and Jan doesn't want anything to do with me. So I'm finally free and clear to make my own thing, and that's what I'm doing. So as soon as all this shit gets settled, so this is very good, but here's what I want to say to you. I self-talk to myself all the time about how horrible this all is. And I'm going to tell you, I do have one more thing to tell you, and it's really good. And I'll send you this. Nobody's ever seen it. If you want to see it.
Sure.
This is how good this movie is. First of all, when we put her ashes out to sea, and X-Pac does not only speak at the memorial, but he's on the ship with me to put her ashes in and crying. How about that arc? The first part of the movie is them battling on the phone together. Why aren't you? I got so much great shit. You have no idea. So there was all these dolphins coming around us, moving with us. And it was her, man. She was there. And I'm the one who put her ashes in the ocean. And they're still out there going, hey, I got proof that you don't have her ashes. You put them all in the ocean. No, idiot, because you don't know what you're talking about. Half. By the way, would you like to see the permits? I have them. Would you like to see the boxes they came in? I still have those. That urn is real. It's mine, and she's in it. So, but back off of that. Chyna died. There's a TV show called Hollywood Medium. It's about this 19-year-old kid who is a medium, speaks to the dead. Do you know the show?
I'm familiar with it, yeah.
Okay. Now, apparently he's from England, doesn't know any celebrities, doesn't even know who Kim Kardashian is. So he usually doesn't know the celebrity he's going to talk to. Well, Dr. Drew does not believe in mediums, but his wife does. They wanted to do Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew said no, but the wife said, I want to do it. So they went over to the house, and they did Dr. Drew. And who comes through? Chyna. Chyna comes through to Dr. Drew. I'll send you the episode. I'll send it to you. And it's like he goes, there's this woman who just came through. She's barreled through, like just through people. And she's standing there. She's really strong. Big, a W. The W's coming, and he's going, Chyna? Yes, it's Chyna. It's Chyna. And the kid goes, who's Chyna? And she goes, well, she was a wrestler and did Drew's show and was treating her when she died, because Drew is all over the year. He's all over this with me. I'm calling him like crazy. I lose her, I can't find her, and she's MIA. I call Drew. And he's telling me stuff, and he's trying to find. So he's all over it, mostly by phone. But Drew is all over this thing. So she comes out to Drew and apologizes. And I should have listened to you. Thank you for your help. And he was blown away. And we got on the phone when I saw this. And he goes, I believe her now. I can't believe it. Now, Shauna X-Pac, I'll send it to you. He's on Sirius XM podcast, video. There's a medium on. She comes through. He goes, I'm seeing an urn, he says. A black urn with like crystals on it and shit. And like this woman barreling through, like coming through, and he was like, oh my God. And he starts bawling. And he's like, do you know who I might be talking about? And he goes, oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. He goes, well, I see all this chaos. And you guys, it's just chaos. And I just see all this chaos. And drugs and fighting. And he's crying. He goes, and she just wants you to know how sorry she is. And that she just wasn't well. And she's just so sorry. Because in that world, there is no lying. There's only purity. There's only light. There's no regret. They don't feel those feelings. She just wants you to know how sorry she is. And he explains how he was at her memorial and the urn came from the memorial and all that stuff. So I see that. So I'm going, holy shit. She must be dying to get to me. But keep in mind, she fired me, remember? And we left on bad terms. She died on bad terms. As at the same time, I was feeding her and I was trying to get her finally the help she needed. I was too late. So.
Yeah.
I think. So hold on.
Yeah.
So I'm building a house in Nebraska for my dad who's dying of cancer because he built houses on lots that he would buy. And he would sell them in South Omaha, buy them for like $100, build a house for like $100, sell it for like $150 to predominantly low-income Hispanic families in South Omaha. He had the right realtor. It was a very good niche. The houses were sold before they were even done. It was a great thing, and that's kind of what he was doing in his elderly years. Well, when he got diagnosed, and I was here now going to take care of him, he had one to finish and one more to do. And he goes, I'm just not going to do it. I said, don't do that. I'll do it for you. So I helped him. I go, because I'm a manager, whether it's a movie or a house. Does the camera guy know what he's doing? Does the framer know what he's doing? I'm just managing the project. What's next, Dad? Okay, I'll make sure those people are there, and I'll be there when they get there, and I'll make sure it's all done and right and all this other kind of shit. So I built those houses for him. And eventually he did die, but he left a lot. And I'm building a house on it now. That's why I'm in Omaha too. But the framer of the house that I started building for him, we would chat about shit and whatever, because I'd go down there and check on the site and everything. And I told him he asked me what I did. And I try to keep it on the down low. Because everybody then has 100 questions. And I don't want to answer them. I live in LA. I'm in the entertainment business. I produce, I connect dots, I push buttons, I pull cords. That's what I do. I work with celebrity placement. I do cons, I do autograph shows. I don't even want to get into it. Well, he knew I was a producer. He knew I did some television. He knew I created some shows. He goes, my ex-girlfriend is a medium and a psychic. Now, the difference is the psychic can tell the future. The medium speaks to the dead. She's both. She uses cards. She does all kinds of shit. She's unbelievable. She's in the Midwest. I go, oh, my God, Midwest medium. Because you got the guy on the left coast, the kid, the Hollywood medium. You got the girl, Teresa, that's in Jersey or whatever, that has the accent, that does the medium show, right? Do you know who that is? The small little girl or the woman who, very Italian, very boisterous.
I've seen commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the point. But here's now the Midwest version of all that. Midwest medium. And she's got a family. So it's a whole different animal. Kids and school and all that. And I live in this Nebraska is a very red state. They don't believe any of this shit, right? So as a matter of fact, I thought, let's do celebrity Midwest medium. So everybody has to come to Omaha and get read by her. But you do the backstory on both and the whole thing. So I'm with Goldust at a con. Chyna's dead a long time. And he's in the green room. And I proceed to tell him, hey, what a fan I am, because I love him. And I know Terry. I know Marlena very, very, very well, if you know what I mean. I know Marlena. She's a sweetheart, close friend. Was supposed to come to the memorial, but her mother got sick last minute, and I had to eat that $800 ticket, by the way. But she did a beautiful video that we showed, because Dusty and Marlena and Terry were part of Chyna's first appearance in the WWE. And Chyna ended up, throwing Marlena around like a rag doll in that. So there was relevance to those guys being a part of my movie because I want to sit down and talk to them. And of course, they're going to do that. But I'd never met Dusty. But I told Dusty where I was when I found out his father had passed. I was at the Washington Post doing an interview with Chyna on our year doc when we first got to New York. And Chyna was really, really, really upset about it. And I'm so sorry to hear that. And he says, I can't get over it, man. He goes, I just wish I could talk to him. I said, dude, I got a woman in Omaha that did a reading for me, and Chyna came through. And she's unbelievable. And I need a sizzle reel. I need to make a pilot. And then the pandemic hit. I need to make a pilot for Celebrity Midwest Medium. And you could be in the pilot. And we'll come to Omaha. I'll pay for you to come to Omaha. I'll put you up, and we'll do the reading. And she won't even know who's coming. She won't know what your name is. She won't know who you are. She won't know who you're trying to speak to. She won't know any of that. And we'll shoot it. And you'll talk to your dad. And he started crying. So that's happening. But now I'm going to get back to my thing. Because that's part of what I do. I come up with ideas and then I push buttons and make shit happen. Because I'm so connected. Name it, I know him. Believe me. Or I can get to him. I don't care who you're talking about. Donald Trump, I can call his ass right now. I'll bet 5 out of 10 times he would answer. I worked on The Apprentice for years. Putting talent on there, working with his casting people. Hold on one second. I'm getting stuff with my brother. Just trying to finish. Hold on. Sorry, man. This is absolutely the end. Trying to finish. So I say to him, do you think that she would do a reading for me? But I can't, but I want to shoot it, but I can't tell her why. I don't want to give her my name. I don't want you to tell her what I do. I don't want you to tell her who I'm trying to reach. I don't want you to tell her why I'm there. Do you have the steam for me to go there with 2 buddies holding iPhones and shoot 2 different angles, one directly on her and one directly on me, that actually from my back with her in it and from her back with me in it, so you could go back and forth, you know what I mean, and edit it that way. And so he goes, let me find out. So he says, all I told her was, you live in LA, you might be able to help her in some of her projects, and would it be okay if he meets you and if you read him while he's shooting you? And because I ultimately told him, I go, tell her that would help me if it turns out that I want to pitch something. But he never gave her my name, not my first name, not my last name, not anything. Didn't even tell it was a man, said it was a person. So I show up and we're shooting, right? She comes out and she owns this amazing crystal shop in West Omaha. You walk in, you think you died and went to heaven. It's unbelievable because that's kind of what she's into. And we meet. And I introduce myself. I'm Anthony. Nice to meet you. And da-da-da-da. And she grabs my hand. She goes, I really get a good opinion or a really good feeling about somebody on my first initial reaction by shaking their hand. So pardon me for squeezing on it and getting it, but I really need to get you in me. Okay. She goes, are you ready? I said, great. So we go back in this room. I'm going to send you this. It's 25 minutes long. It's my reading. So she says, okay, first of all, you, one of the guys that was running the iPad, who was my friend since I was a kid, and I knew his dad. He goes, is your dad passed? Yes. I think he's trying to come through. And he won't go away. So I really got to get rid of him. So I'm sorry about this, but he just wants you to know, you know, they talk about a couple of things to confirm that it's really him. And then he says, he was a very strict guy, military guy, didn't really show a lot of affection. He wants you to know how sorry he is. He never told you how much he loved you and that he's very proud of the man that you've become. You know, I mean, that's how we started this. And he's going, blah, 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 blah. And his dad was Frank Bonfiglio, who was the first recipient of artificial heart in the state of Nebraska back in 1985. They told him he'd live 5 years, and he lived 5 years. But anyway, so That's how we started. So then she looked at me and she starts talking about, is there somebody dying in your house? Because I see an old woman. Has your mother passed? No, she hasn't. Well, I'm seeing an old woman who's here. It must be your grandmother. But she's here for a reason. She's here to take somebody. Is there somebody sick in your house? Yeah, my dad's dying of brain cancer. Well, here's what's going to happen. I just want you to know he's not going to have any pain. He's going to die peacefully in the living room, surrounded by family. And she's going to be on the other side. So she's in the house. She's just waiting. Not tomorrow, not next month. It turned out to be another 13 or 14 months. But she'll be there to greet him when he gets there. And dude, that's exactly how it happened. He was in his living room on a cot because he would not go to hospice, and he had me there taking care of him, so he didn't have to go to hospice. I was the one changing him. And we had help come in and do some things, but my brothers were there too. But we were the ones. My mom was on the, in the restroom when it happened, so she didn't get to see it when he actually took his last breath. But I was the one administering the morphine. I was the one euthanizing him. So anyway, she told me that it was going to happen that way, and that's what happened. And then she said, do you have any girlfriends? I said, yeah, I have girlfriends. She goes, because I see that you're going to find love. I go, well, that just might be, there's a lot of activity going on next month. So I have a couple of things lined up. I'm thinking to myself. So she's seeing that, but there's no way I'm going to meet the love of my life because that is not going to happen. I haven't had a girlfriend since my wife left in 2002. In that way, someone that is like my girlfriend. But anyway, Chyna was the closest thing. But she was my soulmate. So here's the other thing. On the drive over with these two guys that are filming me to go to the medium, they're asking me, what really was your relationship with Chyna? I go, it's really hard to explain because it wasn't like a sister. It was way different than that. And it wasn't like my lover because we weren't fucking. Even though I've seen her naked 100 times. She didn't give a shit in front of me. As a matter of fact, sometimes she'd get me in a wrestling hold when we were just fucking around, and I couldn't move, and I'd be laughing so hard, okay? But she would take a boob out and just put it in my face. I would get that fucking thing out of my face, and she'd be laughing and shit. I mean, I miss her, man. God damn it. I don't miss the bullshit, but I miss her. So anyway, so she talks about that, and she says that. So she starts doing the cards. She goes, you know what? Financially, you're fine. It's not that I'm rich or that I ever have money, but I'm always somehow able to pay my bills. She goes, so you'll be fine money-wise. You're not, good. So she starts going through, and then I say, listen, I have an object from this person on me. Would you like me to bring it out? And she says, no, I don't need it. And what the object was are Chyna's sunglasses. And those were the glasses she was wearing the entire day she died. Like pictures of her, because Joy has these pictures. Pictures of her on that day. I have video of her from that day that Joy sent me. And she's wearing these glasses that she wore a lot of. But she had various sunglasses. So I had those glasses with me in my bag. But she says she don't need it. She had no idea who I was looking for. So she starts going through, and she talks about my dad and how he's going to die and all that. And then she starts doing the thing about my girlfriends, and then she talks about the money, and then she says, okay, all right, somebody has come through. Okay? It's a woman, and I can see her. She's just standing there. She's like 5'11", black hair. She's standing there like she's got her hands on her hip, like she's Wonder Woman. I went, you got her, girl. That's exactly who it is. We never said her name. We never said anything. I said, you did it. That's her. And she goes, okay. She barreled through, man. She came through like, I go, did she barrel through? Yeah, she barreled through. I says, I have a question for her. She goes, go ahead. I go, Chyna, are we okay? And you'll see it. She says, there is so much outpouring of love. I can hardly express it to you. I can't even tell you how much love there is outpouring to you right now. And I said, the memorial. And she said, with her fingers doing it, okay, you did it perfectly. You so know me. You so knew me. And we're okay. And we did that conversation. There was some lightheartedness. And I then said to the woman, do you want to know who this is? And she goes, yeah. I go, do you know wrestling at all? WWE? And she goes, not really, sort of, kind of. I go, do you know the woman wrestler, the name Chyna? And she goes, I don't think so. And then she goes, wait a minute. And she goes, wait a minute, Chyna is telling me. Yes, you do. You know me. She's doing this with her face. She's like putting her finger on. You know me. Your father and you used to watch me. Because she can read me like I can read her. Do you understand, Anthony? So now I know who she is. Yes, I know who Chyna is. My dad and I used to watch her. And it was Chyna that told her that. I'm going to say it's 25 minutes. May I send it to you, and will you watch it?
Yeah.
I will send you the Dr. Drew one. I'll send you the X-Pac one. Watch the memorial. I'll send you a couple of pieces of the footage that I think are, would be kind of relevant for you to see.
Sure.
And if you have any more questions, thoughts, by email, text, you need another half hour with me, I would seriously suggest that you read the article that the Bleacher Report did. They followed me around throughout the memorial. That guy was on the boat when we put her ashes in. I never read it, but he spoke to all kinds of people surrounding her life that I haven't even brought up, maybe, that you'll get those people. I can tell you, but you'll get those people, and you may want to talk to them. I don't know where you're going with this. I give you complete authorization to take it anywhere you take it, man, because that's what I've come to grips with.
Sure.
I am just so grateful that it's on the record somewhere.
No
and
problem.
You have it.
Yeah.
And no matter what anybody says, I can say, I already told that story. And I want to say something about the question you had about me finding her.
Sure.
That's a very, very good question. And a question that a thought I never thought of. Why were you, and why didn't you? And I hope I answered that question in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah. I think
you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think you answered the question, so.
I just gave you how I lived it.
Yeah.
And I think that's on tape. Like that conversation that I have with her about the wellness call is Pete shot it. I have that. I got to go look at it, but I'm sure it's of her saying, here's my advice to you. You need to call, blah, 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 blah. But I don't really do that, and I certainly don't check on people.
Yeah.
And then she, with her own volition, thought about it for a while and then went ahead and called. And I thought, I don't want cops here. I need to find out if she's well or not them. Because I don't know what's in there. I don't know who's in there. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And what if she's not even here? And now it's a big scene, and cops have come, and it's not a good light on her with her landlord. And, well, then what is she doing in there? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So the whole thing was, I didn't give it a second thought. I'm getting in there, and I knew the door would be open if she was there. So I was hopeful the door would be locked, and then I knew she's not even here. I don't have a key. By the way, you know how many hundreds of times she lost her keys? We had to go to it was behoove me to have a key. By the way, when I found her in Burbank, the only reason I was able to walk in was because I had a key. And the only reason I had a key was because my daughter lived there with her for a while my daughter went to makeup school across the street in Burbank. And Chyna and my daughter, she lived with they loved each other. My daughter was 19. And so I had a key for that reason. And then my daughter moved out, and then Chyna continued to live there for a while. And then I would just go over there, and if the door was locked, I would just come in.
So wait,
because we were that way.
You did have
I never had
you did have a key to the building, or no?
In Burbank, in the first go around.
Oh, okay.
When I found her, I didn't finish because I should have. Remember, I told you when I found her in a pool of her own blood, unconscious.
Right.
The first time, in her kitchen in Burbank, and I went over there, and it was we had been talking that morning. Okay.
Got it.
And we had talked about maybe getting together that day or not or whatever. I don't even remember what it was, to be honest with you. But I decided, you know what, fuck it. On my way in town, I'm going to stop in Burbank because it's on the way to Sherman Oaks. Instead of going all the way to Sherman Oaks and then back out to Burbank maybe later, why don't I just hang out with her? So I tried reaching her. She wasn't responding by phone. I don't even know if there was text then. But I can't say we were texting.
Okay.
I can't even remember. This is 2006.
Okay.
Early 6.
All right.
Maybe 2005.
All right.
Anyway, so
yeah.
I couldn't get in, so I opened the door with my key, and I found her. And I had a key because my daughter lived. Now, that's in Burbank, and then she moved, and that was it. But I never, ever, ever had a key
Got it.
to her place in Redondo Beach, even though I'm the one who got her the place. But I really should have had a key
Okay.
for this very reason.
All right.
I really
well,
should have.
Well,
But I didn't. Ignore the code to get in.
I got it.
That's it.
Okay. I got a lot to take in here, Anthony. I will be in touch if we have any questions or anything. Please send me anything you think I should take a look at. I would appreciate it. But and again, I appreciate
Give me
the time.
a couple of days on that. I know you're kind of working off a deadline.
Yeah.
And over the next 2 days or so, let me
Okay.
get my head around that too. It's taken a lot out of me.
For sure.
And I just want to thank you.
No
I
problem.
want to thank, regardless of what you do or what this is, every word I just said is the word of truth. And I'm not hating on anybody. Do you see me out there defending myself? Do you see me out there talking shit about anybody? Anybody? Nobody. I'm trying to just live my life, man. I know the truth. As I started this, I'll conclude it. I know the truth. And the truth is what I just told you. And anything anybody else says, and by the way, consider the sources where that's coming from, and consider the source where this is coming from.
All right. Well, thank
I
you.
love you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem, Anthony. I'll talk to you soon. That brings us to the end of the third installment of Documenting Chyna. A couple things before we finish up all of the Anthony Anzaldo audio here. I'd like to acknowledge the fact that we have requested the video of the landlord conversation that Anthony had where she allegedly tells him that she's not going to call the police then, but then, of course, after the fact, I guess she changed her mind. And also two people that Anthony does bring up that we have reached out to for comment and have not heard back from are Eric Angra and Joy Bendoy. If we do hear back from them, we will let you know their side of what Anthony describes. But in the next installment of Documenting Chyna, the final installment, you're actually going to get to hear from two more voices. One of them is Rob Patillo, who Anthony does mention it several times throughout his interview. You'll get to hear Rob's point of view on what Anthony had to say. And you will also get to hear from Dr. Drew, who was one of the last people to treat Chyna before her passing. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.